We're now live, so I'm gonna get this stream up here so I can chat in the chat.
Okay, I'm waiting for the notification.
The YouTubes. Okay. Oh yeah, I gotta log out of this and log into this one. I can't believe.
Oh, there it is.
You got it?
Yes, we're posting.
Excellent. That's so awesome. All right.
Sounded like Warner Brothers.
I'm super excited about tonight. Okay, let me get this.
Oh, you can do voices. That's cool.
I don't.
Oh yeah.
I've done a few voices, haven't I?
Are those sound bites, or are you really doing that?
No, I'm actually doing that, and I do have sound bites too. But yeah, I could do a few voices. Yeah, maybe not tonight, but. You never. I did do my rendition of Kermit the other day to somebody. But,
Do you do?
Kermit.
Yeah. Do you do classic like Henson Kermit or that other guy that got?
Oh,
fired?
I do Henson. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Piggy, that doesn't go there.
That's pretty good. I can do Homer. It's mostly reactions.
Yeah, it's good times.
You're probably a blast on like long car trips.
Let's just say I play a mean apples to apples.
Oh yeah.
Actually, Cards Against Humanity is my jam. That's my big jam. Like I have a lot of fun with that. And the more I drink, the better I sound in my head.
I think that's probably true for everybody in the room. If everybody's drinking, you're sounding even better too. So
well, and actually, that's actually probably really true. In fact, one of my friends was like, "You guys got to hear Adam. He's so funny when we play Cards Against Humanity." And that just puts pressure on you. You don't want that. No. You can only do what you do.
So, from everybody I've ever met who like does impersonations or like voices, they like started doing it when they were like really, really little. Is that true of you?
Well, I think I did do a lot. I don't know. I think guys in general do a lot of sound effects. You know, they just like to make sound effects.
I could do a really mean fake fart. Actually.
Okay, let's hear it.
Oh
yeah, I gotta hear this.
I mean, you really got to be there.
That was weak.
You got to do a variety, like
from this.
You have to do a variety, like
if we were walking along at the mall, you would do a double, check.
So that's
you like do where you like walk behind people.
Yeah,
and
that's a squirter.
Let that rip.
Yeah.
Here's the crop duster.
Dude, I want to party with you.
And then there's the here's the silent but deadly.
How are you doing that? Are you using your mouth or are you doing the armpit thing?
I'm using my mouth. Yeah, I got it. I got this. There's no way to get my armpit close to the mic.
Oh yeah, that's
I have a mini fart gun, so
yeah,
good to have that.
It's actually really fun to have a woman on the show for the first time in like 10 months. I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
Yeah, it probably is pretty neat for you guys.
Talk to a woman.
I kind of figured that out. I just spent the last 5 minutes making fart noises, but it's okay.
You sort of encouraged us. I don't know.
That's how we impress you.
No, I actually was impressed with your fart mimicry. It's pretty good.
Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here. So we'll move on.
Oh my.
Hey, we're doing a show tonight. Is there people in the chat because we're a little late? It's probably the.
Oh no, this is probably a good thing.
There are people in the chat.
It's funny. The last time I was late like this, it was another technical difficulty. We didn't have that big of a problem for a long time, right? I mean, we've had a pretty good track record of starting
the updates
the
on
show.
Your computer? Yeah, well, it happens.
Well, I don't even know why I did that. I should have just let it do its thing, but you guys have no idea what I went through. I actually went down and got my other computer that was set up for this, that I retired,
And you unretired it.
And I had it literally sitting in front of this computer, and I plugged it in, and then in the Apple thing finally calculated the amount of time. It said 16 minutes to the update finishing, and then it like rebooted and it came up just in time for us to go live at 7:30. So I think that's fine and ham dandy, right? Does everybody have sufficient beverage tonight?
I actually do. I have some Cabernet here because one of you else was drinking that, and it kind of like gave me the incentive. So
that was
we're
me.
Good.
I was like feeling very sophisticated tonight, and I just had a little bit of Cabernet.
I can text my wife and ask her to beer me. So
do it. You need to do it.
To beer you?
We gotta get.
She's going to beer you?
Well, that
I've
way,
never heard that before. Is this a Midwestern thing?
Maybe.
To beer someone?
Pretty sure.
Midwestern, yes.
Andy Baldwin just says, I just saw it on my doorstep. Dave, boxes look good. I don't even know what that's about.
I think Dave shipped something, maybe, and they're using our chat to like confirm delivery.
That's funny. So we have Aaron Sanders in the chat, Dave from Buffalo. Casey's already in the chat. He says, really, guys, a lady comes on the show and you're all making fart noises.
Yeah, they were really good ones. They were really good ones, though.
Casey,
They seriously
We have to stay G-rated until Kelsey puts his kids to sleep.
Kelsey, that's right. So
Casey.
I got to tell you this story, Kat, really quickly so you understand. Casey Relford, one of our longtime listeners, thank you for listening, Casey. I must have been drunk like 8 or 10 times on the show, and I said Kelsey Rayford like 100 times. Like his name is Casey Relford, and I called him Kelsey over and over and over again. So then one of our other co-hosts who's not on here anymore, Dan, he started calling him Kelsey too, and now so there's this running joke. So we've had our go-arounds, but Casey actually happens to be the best at one of our segments that we're going to do a little bit later, which is called, Mark, what is it called?
What's in the juke?
What's in the juke? That's right.
What's in the juke?
Ooh, what's in the juke?
Yeah, so
it's like you have to identify the songs, right? You get like so many notes or whatever.
Absolutely. That's
right.
That's how we play.
I'm probably really good at this, depending on what you're putting on there.
Mm-hmm. And
they're all from April 1981, so hopefully you.
Oh, really? Oh, right. That's why you asked me for that date. I was wondering what does he want to know that for? What? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're just trying to have a little fun tonight, So, by the way, you're on the 9th episode of Arcade Radio tonight. So
season 2.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We had 20 some episodes, 22, 24 episodes in the first season. That was pretty good. We had a good run. And now we're on episode 9 of the second season. So, Love Potion number 9, whatever that is, something like that.
Well, I'm happy that you asked me to be here because this seems like fun. You guys are a fun group of guys, and I think we're going to have fun tonight, hopefully.
Yeah,
I think with that, you should start the show, Adam.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. All right.
Live from KOYR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is Arcade Radio. Intruder alert, intruder alert.
Hello, Arcaders, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 9 of the Arcade Radio Podcast. Today is Thursday, February 8th, 2018, and the time is now approximately 7:39 p.m. Central. We're sorry for being late. Thanks for joining us in the Arcade Sphere. This is your host, Adam Stevens, and I'm joined by the formidable Mark Time Runner Shields and the guest host of Arcade Radio this week, Kat DeSpira. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys for a while. Hopefully we can get a little crazy, have a little bit of fun, and
Yeah.
Keep people entertained.
I like it. So the first section of the show, the first warm-up, if you will, is to say, hey, welcome to the show and what's new with you. So, Mark, why don't you tell us what's, as an example to our guest, what you are working on right now?
Okay, I sometime on Saturday morning, I decided I wanted to take the Nintendo Heliflyer side art that's only ever been seen on a flyer and turn it into actual full-blown side art with all detail. And so through Saturday through Monday, I took some of the elements I had created for the marquee and I did it. It's done. I sent it to this old game. And so hopefully that'll be kind of cool to have something that, just never got produced.
Good old Rich.
To put on the side of the Heliflyer.
Yeah. I think Rich
so
likes working.
You're making a whole new. I'm sorry.
No,
you're making a whole new game.
No, Nintendo released this game called Helifire. It was back in that Space Demon, Space Firebird era.
Sort of a Space Invaders clone.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except for that you're a submarine shooting up at helicopters, and it's just a lesser known Nintendo game before they hit it big with Donkey Kong.
Kind of like Sky
that's
Skipper.
Cool. That's cool.
Sky Skipper, Whitney Roberts and his crew did a little thing. We're trying to get him. I think he's supposed to be on the show next week.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, Hellfire.
He's the guy that did Sky Skipper.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I found a Nintendo Helifire cabinet last year. It looks like other Nintendo cabinets, except for the sides are slanted. They didn't do the curve around the control panel until a little bit later. And I think there's about 4 of these cabinets on the Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I wasn't even familiar with that. That'd be awesome.
All right. And then I had an Asteroids pickup today. I got one for like $97. I'm doing math.
That was a score.
There's quarters in it.
I hate you, Mark.
Sorry.
There's quarters in it. Were they old quarters or new quarters?
I have not dated them, but I usually do that to see what's the oldest or the newest quarter that's in the machine.
I love that. I love that you guys do that too.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody does that because everybody wants to know when was the last time that thing was actually on site and doing what it was supposed to do.
Oh,
it's funny because
I do.
It had like a little log that somebody had kept of testing the machine. Like they always put in 2 credits, played 2 test games, and I guess they played two player to make sure the 2 start buttons worked.
That's awesome.
So weird.
Yeah, it is awesome.
That's
very cool.
I always like to let the guests go next. Now, I'd just like you to briefly introduce yourself and give us a little bit of what you might be working on. But keep in mind, we're going to do a little interview later, so we'll have more to talk about.
Well, I'm Cade DeSpira. I'm a writer. I do a lot of historical researching on the culture and the background of classic arcade culture. Games, what was happening in America at the time that influenced the production of games, things like that. What I'm working on right now is going back in time through newspaper clippings, industry newsletters, and kind of compiling information about the Asteroids marathoners back in the day. There was a lot going on with that I didn't even realize until recently, like groups getting together and playing like 4 and 5 day marathons, things like that. And I haven't got to the end of the project yet. I've just kind of started it a few months ago, but I'm pretty happy with what I'm finding, like lost champions, just events that happened that never really got documented that much. And I think it'll help flesh out kind of the history behind Asteroids, because that was a huge title back in the day.
It was.
That's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, Cade DeSpira. So, what I'm working on, you guys, I had a bad weekend.
Oh,
I really.
Tell us your story. Who hurt you? Who touched you in the bad place?
Oh my God.
Who touched you? Yeah.
Let me just tell you. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm supposed to go to a friend's. They're empty nesters. They're moving out. They're getting a condo. They got a nice little party room. They invited us. And I had another set of friends down the road that invited us too. And I thought, I'm not really big into the Super Bowl, but whatever. Really enjoy that. And I was gonna have lunch with a buddy of mine, and we're gonna go looking for used tools and guy stuff, And I walked out, and I decided I'm gonna go down and do a few things to the Mr. and Mrs. Pack, because I'm still working on that thing, trying to get it dialed in exactly how I want it. Go down the stairs, turn to the right, and there's about 4 feet of water on the floor coming out of my utility room. And so my first thought is, oh shit, the sump pump was probably gone, and maybe there was no, it's too cold. I don't know what's going on. Turn the corner. I got Monaco GP, Ms. Pac-Man. I've been working on the pin too long. Sorry. Ms. Pac-Man, Robotron, Joust, and Defender in that room. I call it the Williams room because most everything in there is Williams. I turn the corner. There's a good stretch of 4x2 puddle on the floor. And I look up at the ceiling, and there's this bulge of wet hanging down. And there's water dripping on the diamond plate of my Monaco GP Mini. And I'm getting a little bit nervous. I went and grabbed a bucket. I cut a hole in the ceiling, and 4 gallons of water came out. The water line to my refrigerator broke and had been leaking down the 1/4-inch copper tube all the way down into the basement ceiling and collecting above on the ductwork and then dripping down. And I started cutting away the ceiling. And I ended up having to pull both Defender and Joust out of the room. And thankfully, not a drop of water damaged any one of the machines. And my Robotron right now is missing its legs because of an incident where I was moving it around and I had to take them off. So it was sitting wood to the ground on the vinyl, and it didn't have any water on it. Thank God. And so I started cutting, and I got all the games out, and I cut away I ended up cutting about 2 feet wide by about 4 to 6 feet long, a hole out of my ceiling because it was all wet. And eventually we did a bunch of work. We've put a wireless endoscope up there and used our technology to find out where the leak was coming from.
What do you use this endoscope for normally? I would like to know that.
Colonoscopies, regular, colonoscopies, but in general, but I'm an amateur colonoscopist.
Oh, man.
I'm an amateur. What do you call those guys? Gastroenterologist.
Sure.
So,
Yes.
so
you're a butt man. I get it.
I'm
It's
a butt man.
Yeah, butt man.
Chicow. So anyway, things, no damaged games. My tears are drying now. David from Buffalo says, oh. Randy.
You got lucky on that one. You did. Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh.
Randy Gelking in the chat says, my kids aren't home, swear away. Oh, yeah, it could be that kind of show tonight. We should maybe give a warning. There could be some language. So,
you guys say fuck on this show?
Now we do.
Hey, might as well keep the door open.
So that was what my weekend was clearing out. But I did pick up an Apple IIc bundle and played some Miss Pac-Man the other day on my Apple IIc. Other than that, that's kind of what I've been working on, Sorry.
I knew he was going to do it.
That's the kind of show it's going to be. I could just tell, Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
It's the Arcade News with Adam Stevens.
Well, you guys, today we have some breaking news. And I think maybe most of you probably already heard it tonight, but we feel like we need to actually discuss this at some level, I think. And it actually wasn't the reason why I called Kat in the first place, but she actually has written an article about it. And Kat, why don't you give your website at this point, just really quickly?
Oh, I'm Retro Bitch. You can't miss it. You just type in Retro Bitch, 2 words, and boom, pops up.
There you go. Hey, and it's a WordPress site.
One.
She's a fantastic. You are, by the way, I'm just going to interject this right now. You're a fantastic blogger. You have a well-written site. You're a great journalist. I really enjoy the work that you've done, and so that's one of the reasons I wanted you on the show. I've seen you around the groups, and I've been wanting to reach out to you for a while. So thanks for being on the show.
No, thanks for that. I really appreciate that. Thank you. This is fun.
So this is our one news item. Via DK forums and multiple outlets, including PC Gamer, Ars, and Kotaku, many others, Billy Mitchell's score, Donkey Kong scores are under a little scrutiny. So former reigning Donkey Kong world champion Billy Mitchell has come under scrutiny this week for allegedly lying about his high score submissions. A detailed post on DK forums outlined in the all in detail the case for the removal of Billy's scores from the forums. Now, DK forums moderator and scoreboard maintainer Jeremy, he goes by Zelnia, also opened a grievance with Twin Galaxies back in August of 2017 regarding this very subject. So anyway, Young presents some rather damning video evidence suggesting that 3 million plus point scores presented. 3 1 million plus point scores, because we all know who submitted the 3 million point score. So, excuse me. So anyway, 3 1 million plus point scores presented by Billy Mitchell were possibly set using MAME. This is, of course, somewhat disturbing to the arcade community, considering Mitchell himself once refereed for Twin Galaxies and has been a staunch voice for supporting only submissions performed on original hardware. So, 2 more quotes, and then we'll discuss from the DKForum.com. In light of the evidence presented here, I am removing Billy Mitchell's current score of 1,062,800 from the Donkey Kong Forum high score list. This score will be replaced by his live score of 933,900, performed at the Midwest Gaming Classic on May 7, 2004. The score was performed in public and was witnessed by at least one TG member as well as Dwayne Richard. Another quote, Twin Galaxies, this is from Twin Galaxies. Twin Galaxies is in the process of fully reviewing the compelling evidence provided by Jeremy Young to support his current score dispute case against Billy Mitchell's Donkey Kong score. Twin Galaxies went on to say that we will do this thoroughly and impartially, and in the meantime, we'll continue to observe this discussion by experts in the community, and we'll also examine any further evidence that may be provided during this review period. We're taking this matter quite seriously.
Who the hell is Jeremy Young?
I have no idea. He's a Donkey Kong player. I would assume. Yeah, I've seen his name around. The Donkey Kong Forum. They have more members than I think TG has. So they're a huge
they're big
group of guys that have come together to really explore Donkey Kong, its history, its possibilities. They've pushed the game further than anybody ever has in the history of even playing that game. I think I give them credit for this. That if it weren't for the fact that they were playing this game, I don't think anybody would even play that game. Not that it's a bad game, but back in the day, it was made for kids, and the kids grew up, and they still loved it, but it didn't really appeal to, the kind of player that would, carry it on for years and years and years, like Asteroids or Defender or something like that.
Right.
So they've kind of been responsible solely for preserving, its culture. I give him credit for that because that's pretty neat.
That's cool.
So Zelnia is a guy who he seems very technically savvy. I read his report on Billy Mitchell's debacle, I guess you could call it, and found it very well researched and exquisitely written. So
it's very compelling. It's very compelling evidence, and just let me describe very briefly what we're talking about, and then we'll comment. So the evidence that was produced, if you haven't been there, first of all, find the DK forums. You can go to DonkeyKongForum.com, and you'll probably find it as the top post. But there is side-by-side evidence submitted of Billy Mitchell potentially using MAME. And the reason why for this is that when the original hardware draws the screen, it draws it from right to left in a single bar, if you will, across the screen. And when MAME draws the screen, it sort of puts things up in splotches. So, for instance, if you're on the pie level, as I call it, or the cement factory level, it will draw the ladders first and then put up in splotches the different parts of the screen. That's MAME. multiple
And
arcade
those are
machine
specific
emulate.
to screen transitions, like when you go from
Correct.
how high can you get until the next screen gets drawn for the first time.
Correct. Yeah. So exactly. So in between screen transitions, and what these gentlemen have done is taken the submissions from Billy Mitchell's. I almost called him Billy Idol. Billy Mitchell's video submissions and compared them to how MAME draws the screens, and how the original hardware does as well. And so what they found is, or what they think is happening, is that these possibly were performed. The last few scores of his over the last 10 years have possibly been performed in MAME because they tend to match the patterns of how MAME would draw the screen. Is that pretty clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys I know you guys in the chat have been following it this week, so feel free to chime in as we comment. But I'd like to open it up to Kat. It's just, I know you just we've had a couple of weeks of this problem.
Yeah, but I think she has news from today.
Oh my goodness, let's hear.
You want to hear news from today?
Yeah, what's
I
the
saw
freshest?
something kind of interesting. I saw something. No, this is like not gossip. This is what I actually saw in a video online today. Billy Mitchell, as you know, his score is being disputed. It looks like MAME to me, but there are reasons that he did that haven't been explored. So I'd rather not actually say that he cheated, because they're still investigating that, right? They're investigating that, and there might be a viable reason why he had MAME there, because we haven't heard that. I've seen him evade that question, though, and I think the evasion is very telling. But still, you can't really say someone cheated until you've actually really heard their story behind it. Having been a person who's been caught in situations where people thought something, and I've never been given the voice to actually say my side of it, I can kind of sympathize with them on that. So it's kind of scary when you have the whole world coming at you and saying, you did this, you did that. And every time you open your mouth to kind of explain your side of it, someone's interjecting. And that's kind of what's happening with him. So let's not call him a cheater really yet. Though he probably did, but no.
Well, and that's the thing. As a good journalist,
but today
you have to.
But today,
go ahead.
I was someone queued me up to a video that his friend Triforce had put out. Triforce Johnson is a guy that ran a very cool gaming league called Empire Arcadia, and I think he still does. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure. Mm-hmm. But he put a video out where he kind of called out the Donkey Kong forum and its champion players, saying that his friend had evidence of them cheating, and if they didn't keep their mouth shut, he was going to, about Billy Mitchell, that he was going to release this truth bomb that would pretty much blow them up and decimate all their scores and prove them as cheaters. And right. I thought that was kind of a strange thing to do if you were trying to help your friend, keep his credibility up. The last thing you want to do is go out into the community and kind of extort silence from people by, making them afraid to say anything. And I thought that was really odd. And he put that post up on Twin Galaxies forum in the dispute section. That's just, disputing Billy Mitchell's score.
Yeah.
You should check it out, because it's pretty odd. That was the new thing for today.
Well, we'll have to check that out. Yeah.
I hope that made sense.
I mean,
I hope that made sense.
So it did. It did. And then last week, God bless him, Todd Rogers. We had on this show. I love the guy. He's
Oh, he was on here. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But he came in under scrutiny last week, and Guinness actually pulled his record, and they pulled all of his records from Twin Galaxies.
They did. He couldn't provide any evidence that he achieved a 5.51.
Right. Was it 5.5? Yeah. So it's like, and I, my heart wants to say, look, there must have been either you remembered wrong, dude, or the hardware itself was different. Now I know that Ben Heck recently did the test, and he had a Atari Junior that he took apart, and then he put together a control board and ran tests with Todd in the room. And
that was the worst Ben Heck video ever.
Oh, do tell. Go ahead.
Personally, I think Ben Heck did not prove anything because he just did a sloppy job of capturing the touch points that Todd uses. I mean, like, you don't ask somebody, describe to me in words how you play this game so well.
Yeah.
It was really a weird video. I didn't quite get that.
Well, I mean,
I didn't either, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I didn't get that video either. I thought it was unnecessary. If I can speak about the Todd Rogers thing,
go ahead.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to beat the guy up. I actually don't think he got to 5.51. But here's where I actually find the actual error in that whole debacle that went on.
Yep.
I think it was very negligent of TG, Twin Galaxies, to drag that on and drag him through the dirt. Mm-hmm. He might have made a legitimate mistake when he was a kid and just kept going with it.
Yeah.
I know that other people at Twin Galaxies over the years helped him keep that going.
Yeah.
And so I found it really strange that they used him and the shame that they were heaping upon him day by day by day by day to increase their traffic. I lost a tremendous amount of respect for them doing that I don't think that I'll ever get back, regardless of whether he falsified or embellished something. Right. They really had no right to do that to him. And I think that they threw a lot of shade at all of us because kind of all of us are Todd Rogers in a way. We're always trying to achieve something or stand for something. Mm-hmm. And regardless of if he cheated or not, he's still the guy that was in the magazines back in the day that inspired all of us to be better.
Yeah.
So he didn't really lose everything because I think that a lot of people love him. Uh-huh. I know for myself, I actually cried over what happened to him because it just seemed so tragic.
Yeah.
It just really did.
Well, and he's, I mean, you've met him. We've met him. It's hard when...
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
When your friend, and I believe that he believes that he got this score, and I know that he's as perplexed as everyone else is about the recent findings, but it is still... So let's just shift it a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the effect of lying on the arcade community. So
there's a lot of it.
Yeah, and
I'm surprised anybody was even surprised.
Well, it's been going on for a long time, you know.
Right. If I may, it has been going on for a long time, but it hasn't really been the players that have done the embellishing. Mm-hmm. It hasn't. Twin Galaxies has spent a lot of energy embellishing the histories of its players. And that started back in the day. They might have been great players and just astounding players for the time, but as time went on, layers have been added. And if you do research like I do, you see that the layers have been added to get newspaper articles, to get, recognition in a certain community to support a certain agenda. You see this. And the players really have no choice but to kind of go along with it. I think that happened with Todd Rogers. I think that's happened with Billy Mitchell. I think that's happened with a lot of these guys. So when we start pointing fingers and calling people cheaters, which I've done, I've called them cheaters.
Yeah. You
kind of have to look who's standing behind them and pushing that embellishment because it's not just them.
Right. Well, and it's a messy situation. I personally, I find
it is. It is.
I find it a lot like politics. Nobody wants to discuss the current political climate, and right now, this has created sort of a political environment within the arcade community. And so it's frustrating. It's very frustrating, and from someone who's not going to ever set one of those high scores, like I love restoring the games. I love playing the games. I'm terrible at them. I love playing them, and I love the feeling I get when I walk downstairs and I flip on all the games and they whir to life. But what I
love that.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it so awesome? And you, but
yeah,
these guys, for many collectors, sort of inspired them. And while I was collecting well before. King of Kong was released and all that sort of thing. It probably fueled the fire, to some degree. And each time I've met one of the world record holders that we've had on the show, I've been, reverent. I appreciate what they've done, but there is a dichotomy. There is a difference in in the communities, and there's the people that restore and collect and want to preserve the history. And then there's the guys that are in the spotlight setting these scores on games, that may or may not have collections. And Tony Temple, Kat, you and I talked about this before you were on the show, and he's one of the rare cases where he not only holds a world record, but he's a collector and also a journalist, preserving.
Yeah, he's my boy. I love him. That's my guy. I love Tony. Tony's a huge inspiration to me. He's the one that got me to set up a blog. I finally did it, and then he wasn't doing it, and I said, no, you need to do it too, because if I'm doing it, you got to do it. And then he set his up, and we write about totally different things. We have a totally different language, totally different feel, totally different agenda. But I love what he does. His RcadeRadio things, every time he publishes one, I got to look at that, because I know I'm going to see cool pictures
They're so cool.
of games that we don't have over here, all like ripped up, and then next week or a month down the road, I'm going to see it put back together. I love him. He's great.
Well, and I'm not trying to stroke anybody's ego here, but one of the reasons why I love what you and Tony do is because I can go to your websites and I read really well written articles, and I get to see these photos that I would never otherwise have found. I think it's totally rad. I love it.
Oh yeah, thanks. He and I I don't know how he finds his. I know how I find mine. I think his is just as hard as work as mine is finding them. I mean, it takes hours sometimes to find just one decent one that nobody's seen. We scour for that stuff. We do. So yeah, that's cool that you appreciate it, because it's a lot of work, and sometimes you don't feel like you're appreciated for it. Not that I do it for appreciation. I really don't. I kind of do it because I feel like I'm saving something that, might get lost.
Right. No, I think...
I know it's so romantic, huh? But
well, I think there's a little... We just talked about this. We all have a little bit of arcade archaeologist in us, right? We pick those coins out of the bottom of the machine.
That. Yeah.
And you want to know what year they were. My jukebox, it's built in 1975. It's a Rockola 460.
Oh, I have one, a Rockola Princess.
And so when I got it home, the first thing I did is, took it apart and, cleaned it out. And at the bottom, there was a $50 and 6 quarters. And they were all pre-1976.
Oh my God! See, I saved that stuff. You gotta hold it in your hand. You almost feel like the era.
I know.
It's cool.
I love it.
I know. I totally know what you mean.
So I mean, and to have that connection to that time period. I mean, I was 4 years old. So, but the whole point is that you have that connection to the machine. I think every one of us, Casey Relford in the chat says chicks bring ratings. So apparently we're doing really well tonight, which is great. There's 24 of...
What did he say? What did he say? Chicks do what?
They bring ratings. Yeah.
Probably.
We have a lot of
probably.
A lot of listeners.
Well, in arcade, you don't ever hear from women. I mean, let's face it. In the arcade scene, women are usually standing by the game while the guy plays holding the coach. You don't meet, or for some reason we've never been able to see or hear from women who actually live amongst these things, know about these things, love these things. You always hear about the women who hates the guy that's into the gaming or whatever. Yeah. When 50% of the population are women who game, there are so many women collectors we just don't hear from them. I don't know why. So you guys got to change that.
I think it's...
I'm going to be on you to change that. I'm going to be on you to change that.
That's
I'm
good.
going to send it to you.
We have a few candidates.
We actually do.
Cool.
It's really interesting because I think the more... I was just telling Mark, a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, we have a distinct lack of women in this show. We need to change that.
It's like a Styx concert. Oh wait, no. Does that mean Styx?
Styx concert.
It's a sausage party.
Dude, are they still doing shows? I mean, no way, really?
Yeah.
No.
Pretty sure they are.
Wow.
Wait, who sings Tom Sawyer? That's not Styx.
Oh my gosh, we just had
That's
a bunch.
Rush, man. Rush rocks, man. Don't be dissing Rush. No. I love Rush. Rush is killer. I've seen Rush so many times.
Oh my god.
But I was at a Rush show in Philly once, and I swear it was
right on.
It was a man fest.
Yeah, all up front. It's all dudes, man.
Right. I gotta do is a call out to some new people in the chat. Marky DeKeel, I don't know who that is. Marky.
I know Marky Ross. Marky, that's a Donkey Kong champion right there. Donkey Kong Jr. right there.
He says,
that guy's awesome.
He says, I am here for chat. And then we have Tidy or Tiddy. Not really sure what's going on.
It could be Tiddy, knowing if I'm on the air. You get all kinds of weirdos in the chat.
Tiddy. He says, oh my God, heart shape for you. We got Jason Horner jumped into the chat. He's like, Tiddy! Stinks to Stink. And we got Stinks to Stink, Dave from Buffalo. Oh, of course, Dave's our guy. He's our regular. Randy's in here. So this is awesome. Yeah. No, Cat won't chat. We got her back. We're here for her. So you guys, whatever you want to say.
I can't do the chat. I get so many weirdos. I love that they love me. But God, guys, get a better vocabulary or something. Come up with something new.
Oh, that's awesome. So I do have. On a serious note, I just want to say, on the subject of this cheating thing, just your.
Yeah, we got to get back to this. We got to talk about this.
Your final thought on how it affects the community, Kat. Why don't you go ahead?
Me? You want me to fix the community? I tried for a few years before I gave up, but oh wow.
How does it affect the community?
Well, the community is like there's so many different things. It's the collectors. They don't need to be fixed. They're all good. We all fight, get mad at each other. We're all friends the next day. That's true, isn't it?
I think it is
really,
too.
We're all in this for the same thing.
I think
no matter how many differences we have, we're all here to preserve these things, and it's all good. With the scoreboard, oh man, that's a big undertaking. I think, oh geez, I don't know how to fix that. That's why I don't belong to that community. It has so many great things going for it, though. So I think that in the end, I'll work it out. Hats off to the Donkey Kong Forum for coming, to the rescue and fixing this situation with Billy Mitchell. I know you guys will work it out. I'm gonna sit over here and probably hope you do it soon. Fix other things in the community. I don't know what you guys mean by that, really.
It's what I'm most frustrated about, and maybe Mark, you go ahead and say what you were going to say. Mark, go ahead.
Well, I don't think you can't fix a community that's a conglomeration of people who have different reasons. Just like Kat was saying earlier, some of the people.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to just say all the purists who like their cabinets, patinaed, let's put them in a little group, and then let's put the purists that like to restore just T molding, let's put them in a group, and then so you'd have to fix those really, do they need fixing? No, but it's not really, and inside of those groups, there's, random people. It's like being at the grocery store. Everybody has to shop for food, but they're all like, there's weirdos in there.
There are weirdos.
So,
we're all weirdos. We live in houses with tons of arcades, and we have double car garages packed to the brim. We're all weirdos. I mean, don't fool anybody, or we wouldn't be here.
Oh, I wish I had a garage that was closed. I have a carport. It's awful.
Oh, man.
Are open.
Wherever you can stack them, it works, so it doesn't matter.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue.
No, that's how it is on. We're audio only, so it's like just talk over each other. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, that's fine. Dude, whatever. Shout over me if you need to. I'm totally cool with it and will not be offended.
I love it. I love it. So, maybe I don't know about you guys, but I've heard a lot about this week.
The Donkey Kong thing with Billy Mitchell.
Todd Rogers. I'm just kind of like, let's let it shake out.
There's more, and you'll see more of them, I would assume. And here's why.
Okay.
Because they're all part of a link of a chain.
Oh.
It's Todd. Come on. Yeah. Oh man. Well, I always have to be the bad guy because I'm always going to be the one that's going to say something.
You're the person with the information. You're the person with the information. That's why you're on the show.
There are somebody. I'm the one that gets stuck riding the white elephant. They have that white elephant. You hear about that in the room. Well, I'm the person riding that one usually.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah. No. There's more. They're all part of a link of a chain because they were created long ago. And so you're going to see that. You're going to see one get caught or one get accused and caught.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see, a crowd of people, seek satisfaction out of being the the white elephant killer, I guess. And then you'll see copycats where people will start outing other people who are probably legitimate score holders, but that's a problem with what they're doing at Twin Galaxies, is rather than taking care of this internally and with dignity, they're allowing a kind of a mob to take control.
Yeah.
And even though I would say that a lot of the mob has the right idea and they're actually correct in what they're saying, I think the way they're going about it is completely in error. And I wish that they would just stop.
I agree. I think there should be a rule that says...
Twin Galaxy... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I think there should be a rule that says everything from before this date is grandfathered in. It doesn't matter if it was real or not. We will include it as a part of our history and heritage.
Yes.
If you want to submit new scores, you have to follow these rules and these guidelines because they didn't have them before. How can you retroactively apply anything?
That pisses me off too because the rules have changed. They've like regularly.
Everything's changed. It's not even the same society anymore. When Chase Hall bought Twin Galaxies, I was friends with him at the time, and I was kind of privy to a lot of things that were going on when it was exchanging hands from Walter Day to him. And one of the things that he and I talked about was I had told him, you're going to have a lot of problems when you get to the scoreboard and you start, getting modern guys or new guys coming in trying to beat some of these scores. So what you should do is you should separate it, have a classic division with the old scores and preserve your history and just kind of start anew. And he was like, why would I want to do that? And I just told him flat out, I said, you've got scores in there that are fake. You've got scores in there that were entered in correctly. You have scores in there that just have a lot of problems that are going to cause problems for you down the road. And he didn't really believe me. Well, look what we have here. And I'm not the only one who told him that. I think a lot of people did. I would assume that they would have. But I think that you're right, that he needs to grandfather some and kind of, split it into a different section and just kind of carry on. Otherwise, he's going to be caught in an endless loop of disputes, and the community's just going to be fractured and damaged even more.
That's a bummer. But here,
I know that sounded really dismal. I wish I could end it on a high note,
no,
but I really can't.
Well, here's the high note, and you mentioned it earlier. There's always
cool. Someone's got one.
There's always a high note. I think the high note is,
Oh, sorry.
I think the high note is exactly.
That reminds me of the Mel Brooks movie, but
I think that it's that we are, well, first of all, that everybody that's in this chat and everybody's on this little thing that we're doing tonight, we're all collectors. We're all people trying to figure out how to make this stuff happen. There's some of us that are going for high scores and whatnot. That's awesome. Do it up, do it right, get your stuff documented, whatever. But the greater community of collectors, I think, is can be unscathed by this. We have to kind of forge on and just be who we are, be like honest to each other. I don't know. Sounds kind of sounds kind of saccharine, but it's the truth. We just got.
No, it's the truth.
Go ahead.
I think I always had a greater time with arcades when I wasn't paying attention to the high score world. It's like kind of everything kind of stressful and at times very negative in my life happened because I got kind of enveloped in that high score scene. And I'm not saying that they're negative at all. I just said for me and my perception of it and how I reacted to certain things, weren't always like the best place for me to be. I'm happier when I'm, in a room with arcades.
Me too.
And I'm like doing whatever with them, playing with them, researching them, just chilling with them. That's my place. And I need to stay there. And I think that you kind of talking to you guys kind of reaffirmed that for me tonight, which thank you for doing that because I kind of realized that I need to get back more to that and
there's
concentrate more on this other stuff that I just don't even want to deal with.
There is so much more to what you have to offer at Retrobitch than simply the unfortunate news of possible cheating. So people.
You're right about that. You are so right about that because you can get caught in that loop, and that's that loop I'm talking about. That's that Twin Galaxies that's never going to stop. And if you're paying attention to it, you're never going to stop. You're going to keep caught in that loop, that little tide pool that keeps pulling you down and down. Faux
show. By the way, we have a few comments in the chat I just want to read through here. This is funny.
I hope it's a good one.
Good, yeah.
I mean, this is serious stuff. This is great.
You better be careful.
So, Dave from Buffalo says, cheaters are no good. And then Jason Horner says, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Well, I gotta bring up something about that cheating thing too. I found out something else today about that.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a lot of players today that use like modified buttons and joysticks. Now I wasn't aware of that because back in the day, like just even back in the day, like 10 years ago, no, you couldn't do that. That was like an automatic DQ. But from what I understand is that's kind of the norm now. So that complicates the whole Billy Mitchell thing too. They're going after him for the MAME, which I agree. It's like if you're playing MAME and telling people you're playing an arcade, you're a cheater. But we don't know they did that. That he did that. I'm just saying that. But also, if you're playing with modified buttons and a joystick,
yeah.
Well, that's not cool either. I mean,
No,
that's
not.
what I mean about this endless loop about who's cheating and who's legitimate, because it sounds to me like nobody is.
So maybe before we go into the next segment, which I think some of the listeners are really excited about because it's gonna be What's in the Juke coming up here in a little bit. But one of the things I think that that sort of set the bar for high score record competition was in King of Kong, when there was this whole big thing about, oh my God, Steve Wibber's not using original hardware. Oh, well, let's go into his garage and find out what's going on. And there's all this weird stuff happening, because people really do feel passionate about, hey, look, if you're going to play the games, play them on their original hardware, play them the way they were designed to be played. Well,
I agree with that.
And I totally agree. I think all of us watching it were like the same, we had the same feeling. And one of the reasons Billy Mitchell was vilified is because he wouldn't play the damn original game in public, against Steve. And, but all throughout the film, there was the feeling that if you're going to compete at that level, you have to play on the original hardware. And I think that's what has to happen. And there needs to be validation, and there needs to be, people recording legitimate scores and showing what's going on with their hands. And, I agree. That's the world we live in. So, I guess that's my kind of my final thought on that. I don't know what you guys feel about it, but I don't want to. I have
one final thought on. I have a final thought on that.
Mm-hmm.
What you just described about playing live and having everyone see what you do on the original hardware.
Yeah.
I have to point out that the precedent for that ended with Billy Mitchell because he didn't do that.
True.
And that kind of became the norm. He did that, and then I watched that happen in the community.
Well, in the movie it happened. In the movie, he brings a video cassette,
and now they're bitching about it.
Right.
It's funny. It
is a little bit
weird. You guys
weird.
started this. You guys created this example.
Right.
And even though what he did was wrong, you're holding that as a gauge to others who have done it, and now you're calling them all cheaters. So it's a trip.
I think
it's like I don't want to take that trip. I want to get off that train because it's not a fun place to be or even ponder, because it's just going to get uglier and uglier because there's no end in sight.
No, and I think a real winner will get up off his feet and compete again. So let's just do that. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen.
So
I agree.
Mark.
And now some levity at the going back to the cave.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin quarter mile.
Back to the cave with Time Runner.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
All right. So, hey, we picked today's date, April. Generally, 1981. Kat, well, we didn't pick it. Kat did. Why do you hold that date so close to your heart?
80. Well, I just picked pretty much the middle of the year, because 81 was the best. It was everything. Best music came out. The best arcade games came out. The best fashions. 1981 is the coolest. I think the coolest year of the 80s. I just like it. Anytime I like anything, it's usually from 1981. Seriously.
I think that's a bold statement. I would argue 84 was pretty good.
I liked 83.
Oh, as far as arcade games, yeah, but just as a general year, I think 81 was cool because that's when everything was just breaking. It was leaving the 70s, all the boring,
Yeah.
ugly
You're
70s,
right.
and 81
No
just
more
really
disco.
shined.
And you still had punk,
Yeah.
and you had new wave, and you had everything was going on, right?
It all came together that year. Yeah, the whole crossover metal that crossed over into punk.
Absolutely.
Then we got Motorhead kicking ass. Sorry, I'm gonna swear.
Ga-
In America, it was awesome. Iron Maiden had the greatest album I think they ever produced that year. The Cars.
Oh.
I mean, I just love 1981. It also looks cool when you write it too. So
I'd love it.
if you're into aesthetics, it looks cool written.
It does. It does look cool written.
Okay, so
it does. I
let's-
know you saw it in your mind, and it is cool.
Okay, so April 1981. First, we're going to talk a little about arcade news. The Asteroids Deluxe and Warlords were actually released in April 1981 in North America by Atari. And interesting fact, I did not know this before, the Atari 2600 version of Warlords was also released in 81. It was written by Carla Meninsky, who'd written several other 2600 games, including Indy 500, Dodgem, Star Raiders, and even a port of Tempest. And it was never released, but like prototypes are out there. Get
Sweet.
Carla.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's probably one
That's
of the
cool. That's heavy.
few.
Wow.
So let's see.
Why are things so heavy in the future?
Is there a problem with Earth's gravitational pull? Yes. At the box office, I'm just going to list the movies that came out. Some of these were good, and they've kind of held their place in history, and some are just awful. And so let's look what was released in April 1981. Excalibur.
Excalibur.
Yes. Do you know the little incantation that everybody said?
No, but I do know that
No.
Carmina Burana was used heavily in that movie's trailer, and possibly
was?
throughout the film. Was that the one
Oh,
with
the music.
Patrick Stewart?
Is Patrick Stewart in Excalibur? I don't know.
He is. He's in Excalibur.
It's been a while.
I remember the movie, sort of.
Yeah.
It was, Roger Boorman. The reason why I remember a lot of these is because in 1981, my parents had a VCR, and I thought it would be cool to record the commercials on TV for trailers. So I would record whole shows and then just keep the trailer and put it on another tape.
Huh.
I know it's a little weird. So let's pile through
Love to
these.
get a mixtape from you. Yeah.
Oh, and I think like 3 or 4 years later, I decided, I don't know why I recorded all these trailers and I overwrote it all, so it's awful. But let's see, there's a movie called From Mao to Mozart. And I don't know what that was.
I've never heard of that.
There's a movie called Going Ape. I'm pretty sure it was trying to play off of the the Clyde the Orangutan stuff that was going with the Clint Eastwood movies.
Oh yeah.
The Howling. What about that?
Oh, I love that movie. That's a great movie. Have you ever seen it?
Oh, of course.
That's the werewolves in New York and the Native Americans. I guess it's their kind of like anima. They're like.
Right.
They mutate in these wolves or whatever. I love that movie. It's scary.
And then,
Scary.
And then also, it's funny, these two movies that are very similarly named, Night Riders and Nighthawks. And I don't remember Night Riders.
Any of those.
Nighthawks,
Yeah.
I think, starred Sylvester Stallone and probably the guy that was on the replicant from Blade Runner that lives until the very end. That guy, I'm pretty sure.
Eddie. It's Edward James Olmos. He was.
No, that's his partner.
What?
Oh, yeah, no. Edward James Olmos was just a cop. He actually is in the new Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's get through this
The
list.
new one? Huh.
Yeah, he
Okay.
looks bad, but hey, it's Edward James Olmos. Like Harrison Ford looks like a breath of fresh air over there. But Edward James Olmos is like
He's like, move on.
You guys are terrible. He looks bad.
he does. Like, come on,
Jesus.
get the same trainer that Harrison has, dude. Let's see. This is Elvis came out. They played that on the movie channel like every day. I just saw the commercial for it over and over and over. Caveman with Ringo Starr, Barbara Bach.
Oh,
and Charlie
I have
Brown.
that movie.
Oh.
I love it.
Ew.
You're allowed to
Oh
hate
my
it.
God.
You're allowed to
No
hate
way.
it. That movie's so. Listen, Zug Zug.
Zug.
Listen.
You're in 6th grade. That should have been 7th. I was in love with Shelley Long.
Zug Zug. Oh my gosh, she's my least favorite part about the movie.
Oh, I don't
Ringo
know why.
Starr is
I had to think of
awesome in that
blondes.
movie.
I've never seen it. It must have naked chicks in it for you guys to like it.
no,
It's
not-
Caveman, right?
No, not really. Not really. But they're pretty.
You said Ringo Starr was in it, so I figured it can't be any good.
It's only good movie.
Yeah, they're. Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's see. There was a.
I'll check it out. Go ahead.
Okay, Improper Channels, which I don't. It's some drama. Beyond the Reef, nah. Cattle, Annie, and Little Britches.
Oh boy, no thanks.
Oh, I saw it on Netflix last night. Not. Oh, this is a good one. The Hand.
Oh.
Where this
The Hand?
Yeah, this
I never heard of it.
goes around and kills people.
Oh, is that Manos?
I don't know, but it's a pretty good horror movie. I seriously doubt the effects have held up after this long, especially considering, they've done The Hand with the Addams Family. I mean, come on. Let's see, Secondhand Hearts, which I think was who was the girl from?
Who's that girl?
Sally Field, maybe. Oh.
Why is it I've never heard of any of these movies? This can't be true. This is 1981.
Oh yeah. April.
This is what happens to us every time we do this. We're like, what? What was that?
Well,
Are
when
you
I get to
serious? I'm just blown away. I don't know any of these because I spent so much time in the movie theater.
Right.
I have never seen these.
Well, we watched what we wanted to watch, right?
That's right. So
Yeah, I
speaking
guess.
of the very last day, April 30th is it the last day of the month? I forget. The 31 days. Anyway, long story short, Friday the 13th Part 2 for some reason came out on April 30th, which
okay,
I
now,
loved.
at least we got a movie that I know. Yeah, no, those are all great. Yeah,
Yes.
those are groundbreaking films. They really were.
I don't know why they didn't put it out on the 13th. I think they were eventually like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Okay, so all right, so let's move on. TV, we're gonna go through this super fast.
Sorry.
What the heck? On ABC,
Someone sat on the board.
Mork and Mindy was on ABC.
It was Mork and Mindy.
Yeah, Bosom Buddies, Barney Miller, Taxi, and 2020.
I
What a
love
night.
Mork and Mindy.
Nothing like a little
I
taxi.
love that show.
And then some news.
Yeah.
That's such a cute show. What a great show. They don't make shows like that
No,
anymore.
not at all. The CBS only had one good show on that night, Magnum PI. I think I picked April 9th, by the way. I may not have mentioned this. I was looking through what was on TV all that month.
Oh,
and I think
great. Now everybody in the chat's
that was
going
a
to know what's
golden
going
day
on.
in the month of April 1981.
There's a bunch of crap in the freaking... Ugh.
No, but on NBC.
TV really.
Yeah?
TV wasn't really that great back then. That's why cable took off.
Truly true.
Yeah.
Buck Rogers in the 25th Century was on NBC, and
That's
then they
my-
had like
love
a
that
movie
shit.
of the week after that.
Except for... That was
What
second
was on the
season.
movie of the week?
That was second
Did you have a
season.
look? Probably something really bad. Like
I gotta go get the TV guide.
No.
Fame. I don't know.
Just things...
I'm just making that up.
Things
I
are
don't
not good.
Fame.
I like Fame.
Fame!
Irene
I like
Cara.
Fame too. It's. You know how this? Go ahead. No, I'm taking up your time. Go ahead and read your list.
No, I like it when you interact. Let's go.
I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry. You said Fame.
Yes.
So many cheesy movies like that. I mean, even though they're cheesy, they're just awesome. You know how a movie can be just so lame and you're laughing and kind of cringing at some of the dialogue in it, but you still love it because it's cheesy. I don't know how to explain it, but
I can
Fame
explain
that's
it.
one of those movies.
I can explain it in one word.
Right, a cheesy movie.
Caveman.
Caveman. Okay, if you say it's cheesy, I will watch it. 'Cause
It's
I love
totally
cheesy.
cheesy.
Yeah,
Totally
you'll
love
like
it.
that. And they don't speak one word of English in the whole thing. It's interesting in an abstract way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one person says an English word at the end or something, but
Probably. Like shit.
oh man, I was rounding back.
Are you sure you're not referencing Quest for Fire? There's no English in
Oh,
that
no.
one either.
It's kind
I've seen that one. That
of
was
similar.
trip.
Kind of
That
similar.
one's hot.
It was hot.
Yeah, I remember when she's picking the berries up by the water. I remember, when I saw that movie, I was like watching it with my parents, and we didn't know that it was in there. And I'm like, I'm sitting in between my parents, and there's like the scene where she's down by the water picking the berries, and the guy comes up and just starts hammering on her. I'm like, oh my god! It's like I'm sitting here with my mom and dad, and I just wanted to die at that moment. It's like, oh my god! You know what scene I'm talking about? Sorry.
Oh yeah. I like to bring that one up every time I talk to Tommy Chong. Because that's his daughter, actually.
That's his daughter. Yeah, Ray Dawn.
Yeah.
Wasn't she like 16 or something?
Oh my God, who knows? What a thing. Oh, it's acting. Hey.
Acting.
Acting. I was merely acting.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
now we're moving on to the last part here before we get to our one listener phone call and the full-on interview.
Oh.
It's called "What's in the Juke." Wait, don't play that whole intro.
I'm not going to, but I will play this.
Okay.
What's in the juke? What's in the juke? It's like an old,
You just said that.
70s.
Okay, so this is the part of the show where we play a song.
Ladies and
We haven't
gentlemen,
mentioned
what's in the juke?
anyone.
We're still working on the intro.
If you can still guess what this one clip is, you get to win our, Oh no, not again. Oh yeah. That's not the clip.
I kill me, snort. Okay, moving on.
If you could just play like a couple seconds of a song, and we're gonna open it up to people in chat, and then maybe perhaps us in here. That's not excluding myself and Adam.
Yeah, so I think next week what we might try to do is actually, have somebody call in.
Call in. Yeah, we could try that once. We'll see how that goes.
Wait a minute. I'm having a little trouble here with your.
Adam is in charge of the.
Your number one. Oh crap! That's because I'm searching in the wrong area.
Oh, they're not even in the right order, by the way.
They're not?
I mixed them up so that nobody could figure out where they're from.
Oh, dang!
Ooh, you got tricky with it.
That's right.
I'm a little bit upset right now because I think that one of the songs is not labeled correctly.
Okay.
But I found it anyway. So there we go. All right. We're going to play clip number 1.
Okay.
So I should start that right now? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
That's not a good enough clip. I'm going to play a different part. Here we go.
I know what one it is. I heard it.
Oh my God. All right. So that was clip number 1. Here's clip number 2. No, I'm just kidding. That's a hard clip. I don't think that was enough. Should I play?
You mean clip number 1? I got it.
You did? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Casey Relford, Steve Winwood.
How the hell does he know this?
I don't know. I played like a second.
What? What did he say it was?
Steve Winwood.
Oh, I didn't have that.
Oh, he's got Steve Winwood.
Is it?
Now let's see
Is it Steve Winwood?
It is. Let's see if he gets the
No
song.
way.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was that Here I Go Again song. Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay, I heard it totally different, I guess.
That was a long clip, but this song is weird. Okay. Oh, not Valerie. Andy Baldwin guessed Valerie. Not quite right. We'll give him 5 more seconds and we'll move to the next one.
3, 2, 1.
While you see a chance, take it. Arc of a Diver, Steve Winwood. All right.
Okay.
Oh my God, I can't believe someone got that off that. Wow.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, Casey is a savant.
But yeah, he's a savant. But like, we're gonna have to give like 10 T-shirts. I'm pretty sure. When we start giving out
Now,
T-shirts.
this one should be good.
Yeah, here we go. This next one. Here we go. That's it. I'll replay that 1 second clip.
I like that.
Here we go.
I know what song it is. But I don't know. Oh God, I know.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You
You
know what I
can
mean?
do it, Kat. You can do it.
Yeah, go for it.
I can't do it. I can't do
Just
it.
sing along.
I
Like, what do you
can't.
think of the words?
Just the two of us. Andy Baldwin got it. Just the two of us. Actually, Casey beat him to it.
He probably already got it. He probably, no, I know. Oh, jeez. Just the two of us.
By
Right?
who was it? By see if these guys can
I
get
don't
it.
know.
Yeah.
The two of us.
It was by Grover Washington.
Hello, this is Grover.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Grover, get off of my show. Here we go. All right, next song.
Who is it? Okay, go ahead.
Here we go.
Okay.
That's all play.
Yeah.
Is that Aria Speedwagon?
Oh, yeah.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
Keep on loving you, right?
Oh my gosh, she got it! Boom!
You know what sucks is I knew that because that is so lame.
Oh my gosh, Randy
It's
Gelking.
I just lost my street cred because of you guys.
It's hard not to know that song. It's hard not to know it. Randy Gilkin got it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get a disguise to go out now.
Okay, here we go. And since they're mixed up, I'm just gonna play them in the order that I have them in here. So here we go.
Okay.
All right.
That might be
Barely hear
difficult.
I could barely hear it, but it
yeah,
sounded like
it was-
Blinded by the Light by
Right.
ELO. Is that who did that?
Here we go. And here's another clip.
Maybe it's been crazy.
There you go.
I have no idea who that is, but it sounded like Neil Diamond.
Boom! She
Was
got
it?
Neil Diamond.
Was it really?
Yeah, let's see if somebody
Oh,
can get the
wow.
song. Let's somebody get the song here.
I can't tell you any songs that he did.
Yeah. Here we go.
And maybe I'm to blame. But I put my heart above my...
See if anybody gets it. Oh, somebody guessed Barry. Not quite right, but it's okay.
That was Neil Diamond, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is Neil Diamond. Hello again. Hello. All right, so moving on to the next song. This one might be easy. Here we go. I'll play the beginning of the song. Right.
Tonight's the night.
If we can't get this.
Rocket Man, Elton John.
Oh, that's awesome. But no, that's not it.
It was.
It was not
No.
it.
Oh, you're so funny. Ooh, that was great. Like I got it and I didn't.
Sticks. Randy got it. Randy Gilkin got Sticks, and Marky Keel followed up with The Best of Times. There was sort of a tie between those two guys. Casey got beat out on that.
Music. Marky Keel does.
Here we go. Here's the
He
next
does.
clip.
Yep.
This is gonna. Oh, I should have picked a better spot for this. I'm just gonna try this here. It's hard because I should put these into GarageBand so I can buffer them before they go on. But here we go. Just picking a random spot from within the song, and that's probably all they need.
What the heck was that?
That's a good, weird part of the song.
It is, yeah.
I didn't hear. Do it one more time for me, please.
Okay. I'm going to go back. And here's the clip. Blondie Rapture. Blondie Rapture. Boom, boom. And it was Casey.
Who?
Randy got it again.
Blondie.
I'm
That
impressed.
was Blondie? Jeez.
Yep.
Play it a little bit more.
Oh, that's the first time rap ever appeared in a song in the United States. Yeah, yeah. Now, who's the name? Who was the band they used? I forget. There was a guy who did A Rapper's Delight, wasn't it? No, I don't know.
yeah.
It wasn't him.
No, you might be onto something.
Anyway.
there. Yeah.
It was from that school, definitely, because, yeah. Wow, cool. I didn't... What song is that on? Rapture, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rapture.
yeah.
Yeah. It was,
That's a tough one.
what was his name?
Well, you're not talking
He's
about.
from the school. He's from that total school. I mean, they were doing all that scratching and stuff before
Fast
people
Five
even
Freddy.
really had a name for it. Yeah.
Master Flash or something? Or
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, Grandmaster Flash.
Right.
Thank you.
Fast Five
Yeah.
Freddy.
Dang.
They just put out a drunk history about Grandmaster Flash. I think, and Questlove, I think, gets really drunk and tells the story.
All right. Well,
Ooh, I'd love to see that. I would really like to see that.
here are 3 more hits from the top 10 of that time. These might be a little bit more difficult. I'll play a little bit longer clip here. Anybody?
Oh, God. I remember it. I can't tell you who it is, though. Marky D can probably tell you.
I don't know.
Well, Marky D.
Oh, Casey Relford got it. Woman, John Lennon. Bam, bam. Just like that. Oh, my
That
God.
was John Lennon. Dang,
Cannot
I remember
believe
the song.
that.
I do.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable. I cannot believe that guy. He's just
Yeah.
amazing. All right, here we go.
He's good.
Next clip. Here we go. Oh, that's a terrible clip. You might as well just have a bunch of organs.
That's underwater
That
for
is, so,
sure.
that is so lame at the beginning. I bet you it's Lionel Richie. I'm just guessing.
Nope.
It is, isn't it?
No.
It isn't it?
Now we're laughing
They said
like
suck
we
all
do on
over
here.
it.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna play one more clip. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Is it Beaties or something?
Oh,
I can
you're
barely
close.
hear it.
You're
It's a
close.
duet.
It's a duet.
Who is it?
It's coming up.
Oh, no, it's not that Reunited song or something. I don't know. I just thought it was Lionel Richie, but I guess it's not.
I'll play one more clip.
What kind of
Oh, God, it's Barbara Streisand and some other guy. This is sad, man.
Not Andy. It's not.
It's Barbara Streisand, isn't it?
It's Barbara
And then
Streisand
who
and Barry Gibb.
And who else?
Yeah.
Like Kenny Loggins or something.
Very Gibb from the Gibb Brothers.
Yeah. What kind of fool?
Oh, that's painful.
Whose idea was that?
I didn't know that. I didn't. Yeah.
1981,
cocaine,
baby.
That's what caused that.
Here we go.
Cocaine caused that. Yeah. Oh God.
tears it apart, leaving me pain.
Okay. there's some real doozies in the top 10 this week in April 9th. All right, here we go. Here's another one.
Okay.
We have only 2 left. This is it. And there we go.
I was alright.
This is the live version though.
What?
I have no clue.
For a while.
I love that song.
Oh, that's Roy Orbison.
It is originally him. Yep. Andy Baldwin got it with Crying.
Beautiful.
Don McLean was followed up by Randy.
Boy.
Oh my God! Andy and
I heard
Randy.
him grab a vowel. I went, okay, that's Orbison. Yeah.
Holy
what a
crap.
voice. Oh my gosh.
You guys listen to this. Within like 2 seconds, it was Crying, Don McLean, Roy Orbison, Crying, Roy, John Denver, Roy Orb, Bang, Crying. I mean, these guys are on top of it. Okay, one more hit.
Wow.
One more hit. Okay, this is the last clip, and I'm only playing the beginning because this is easy. Okay, here we go. And go. That's it.
Oh.
That's got to be Hall & Oates because I heard the guitar and that sounds just like Hall & Oates.
Yeah, it is.
Because they always mix their guitars like that, like
Yeah.
with all that like background noise, it's all compressed, it's nasty sounding. It was them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was. And
Oh, I knew it.
Kisses on my list. Kisses on my list. Kisses on my list. 4 people right in a row. That's just totally awesome. You guys.
Yeah,
rule.
everybody knows that sound of their guitar. Yeah, that was their trademark.
Yeah.
I don't think it sounds bad. I didn't mean to say that it sounds bad, but it is definitely a trademark sound that they had.
Oh, for sure. No, and that's one of the things that's. I don't know, Mark. You go ahead and explain. Why did we end up where we are with this segment anyway?
why did we end up like this?
Yeah. Why did we end up like this?
Because it's fun. I don't really know.
You don't know the answer. So one of the problems we were having on the show was we kept getting flagged for copyright. So
Oh, we got flagged for copyright. We're like, how can we play as little bit of the song as possible?
Oh, yeah, I was wondering, while you were doing this, I was like, how are these guys pulling this off without getting flagged?
If it's a super tiny clip, boom, no problem.
yeah, nobody cares. But if you play like 10 or 15 seconds, then bam, Universal and Warner Brothers and everybody wants a piece of your action. Which
That's a big thing with the YouTube kids that like they get demonetized and everything, like kicked off their channels for that stuff, even if it happens accidentally or an image shows in the back of their video. I
it's
mean,
totally
that's
bullshit.
You're
crazy.
playing a pinball and the clip is from the machine and you get that happens.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Twin Galaxies was having that problem with submissions. Guys were like listening to music while they were submitting. I heard this. I don't know, how big of a deal it turned into, but they like wouldn't accept their scores on those videos or on their Twitch because they were playing music. You
Right.
can't do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
you
can't
just gotta-
turn the sound off because you have to hear the game to know
Right.
if they're actually running the actual game.
Yep.
So yeah,
No, that's
what are
terrible.
you gonna do?
I actually have one of my own songs monetized. I brought this up too many times. So I wrote the song and somebody flagged it, and now that's that. So 'tis what it is. So I think we have a caller.
I'm glad we do.
So let me check it out. Okay, here we go.
Hello, Arcade
Radio muchachos. It's your buddy, Bob Zarzadek, control panel expert and technician. I'm leaving this message early. It's Tuesday afternoon, and man, today has been super weird. I swam back to that autonomous spaceport drone ship, I was living on a couple weeks ago. And it was even more awesome than when I left. There's lots of beer in the lower deck coolers and everything. It was great. I loved it. Excuse me. So anyway, everything was going great until this giant rocket started approaching me. And luckily I had my shotgun next to me in case I wanted to go fishing. And I shot that sucker right out of the sky. Yeah, you should have seen how surprised that rocket was when I took it out, my slug. Anyway, that's all that's been going on here.
Oh, man.
I thought I would leave a question for your guest on Thursday, and here it is. Should old black and white vector games be brought back on color vector monitors? Like they could bring them back and then spruce them up, make them color. You want to play asteroids in color? Yeah, that sounds great. But what do you think? All right, that has to be the most technical question I've ever asked, so you can thank me later. I'll be listening Thursday night, so how about it? Zarzadek out.
Wow, Bob Zarzadek.
I can't hang up anymore. What is this? All right, here we go.
Well, he doesn't know how to hang up the phone, does he?
He has a little difficulty.
He does it.
And he's had a saga lately.
SpaceX shot down the center core of the SpaceX rocket on Tuesday.
I know. He was like, a couple weeks ago, he was like living on the platform. He somehow got from his shipping containers at the Walmart to the middle of the ocean, and then he's living out on these.
Out.
I know. And then he got in trouble.
And last week they took him off with a helicopter, right?
That was pretty funny. Yep.
How did he swim back? It's 200 miles. That doesn't make sense.
No, he must have had a
boat.
Seems maybe he's making it up.
I don't know.
He's making something up.
So the question is,
you listen to a Polybius podcast thinking it's real for 7 episodes, and then
hey, listen.
I don't want to spoil it for you. Yeah, that was that.
If I had just read this stupid
that was
paragraph,
kind of an interesting project. It's cool because Ernie Klein, took part in it, so it was fun doing some. I mean, he really got where they wanted to take that, and I was really happy with it.
Well,
but
let's hold.
We
that
weren't
topic
told.
For
We actually weren't told. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Let's do your interview. All we have to do is play this little clip.
Yeah. Oh, we're at the interview part now, right?
Yeah. Just hit the button.
Oh,
but we didn't. Okay. Yeah. We're not going to answer Bob's question, right? We're just going to move on, right?
Oh, we're going to move on. You're not going to play it. All right, fine.
Okay. Here's the big.
I don't get a clip. Oh, great.
You do. You do. Here
see?
Nothing special for me. I'm just messing with you.
All right, please welcome to the show arcade and retro gaming journalist and historian Kat DeSpira. That's you. Welcome to the show.
Okay,
that's me.
So continue.
Yeah.
As you were saying.
Go ahead. We were going to ask you about Polybius anyway, so tell us about your involvement with the Polybius conspiracy.
The actual podcast or the actual research project?
Well, you just take it wherever it will go.
Yeah. Wing it.
We're all about
yeah. Well, Polybius is something I'm known for. I didn't set out to be known for it, but for years I heard about this killer arcade game in Portland, Oregon, and since I spent my teenage years in Portland, Oregon, I was wondering why everybody's talking about this game that I never saw in the arcade. So I started looking around, went to the places where people said that it was. One thing led to another. I ended up debunking it. I feel I debunked it. There are still people out there who think it was real. I don't believe that it was. And that led to a documentary that started filming 3 years ago by a group of filmmakers who brought in me, Clay Cowgill from Ground Control Arcade, Ernie Klein, who we now know went on to work with Spielberg. They started filming a documentary and decided to make it into a podcast, which became the one that you just saw, the Polybius Conspiracy, that was turned into kind of a War of the Worlds type script. We didn't find out till the last minute. In fact, I was listening to it like you were, thinking it was just outtakes, from the footage that we shot. And I discovered, wow, they made this entire kind of sci-fi scary story out of it, which is very cool, but none of us knew. So it was kind of a surprise. So the journey that you went on to get to the end of it and realize, hey, wait a minute, this was a work of fiction, was the same journey that I went on, even though I was in it and took part in it. So it's kind of neat. I like the way that it turned out.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, actually. I mean, in the same way that I think Who Drew the Dicks, on Netflix is a classic. I mean, you know what? Give me more of these documentaries that aren't really documentaries because, damn, they're entertaining.
Well, I think with documentaries, you end up with fiction anyway. I don't think I've ever seen a single documentary that wasn't embellished in some way as far as facts or characters or things like that. So, sure. And I love Who Drew the Dicks. That's the funniest damn thing. It's great. You know, the funny thing, though, when I first started watching it, I didn't know it was a documentary. So I'm like, oh, this poor guy, he got accused of drawing all these dicks. And then I kind of caught on and felt really stupid, but, I know. I'm
We're
fallible.
speaking about American Vandal in case anybody didn't listen to the beginning of the show.
It's a fun show.
So let's see where we are here.
Well, I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, why don't you ask, Mark, why don't you ask the quintessential first question that we always ask our guests?
Okay, so Kat, where did you grow up and how did you get to the arcade? Like, what was the draw? It's like
How did I get to the arcade?
It's like your origin story. What eventually got you into the arcade?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's the same with everybody. I'm a 70s kid, so I started with Pong. Pong came into the house, but, around that time, there were games there weren't really arcades. There were game rooms, and they were mostly adult-oriented. But in the 70s, kids could go anywhere. They could go into bars. I know it's unbelievable for people to even think of that, but kids did during the days there were hours, and we'd go in and play Boot Hill, which is not a very fun game. I still don't think it's a very fun game, but you kind of played what you had.
Right.
But then something happened in 78 that changed everything, and it was Space Invaders. Because you had that heartbeat pulse, the way it looked, it drew kids in, and I was one of those kids. And I think that's the true story. I think that's the story of any 70s kid. They saw Space Invaders, and that just kind of that jump started it, because then you had, asteroids come out.
So there was an allure, though. So beyond Space Invaders, yeah, I'm sure that's what sparked it. But did you spend time in a particular arcade, or
was it always that bar with the that one game, or did you have a favorite arcade?
her phone went dead?
Did she?
I don't know.
Maybe the battery died.
Oh boy, that's no good.
We can always call her back. We know her number.
She's still on. She's muted.
What? I didn't.
How did that happen?
You're muted. Unmute. Should we call her back?
Well, it was white. Now it's, I don't know. We could try calling her back.
Yeah.
You want to redial?
I mean, she's been on the phone for a while. I gotta. Where's the phone? Okay. Okay, I got it. Okay.
I'm hanging up on her.
Okay, fine. I'll hit the dial pad now. Oh. Can you only dial in one person?
I don't know. Try again.
Okay. Let's see. Click the little person with the plus. Click the little pad. Type in this number. I dialed it right. Calling her back.
She's probably looking for a cord.
Hello, I dropped off somehow. That nobody wants to hear my history, but I said Space Invaders, and then like the whole world fell out from me.
We were like, it's okay, you know. I hope I didn't bring up anything about an arcade you didn't talk about, but
no, but like I was saying, Space Invaders came out, and that captivated an entire generation. That led to the video craze. That was the one that did it. It was just one game after another. Go ahead.
What particular like arcade like near you drew you in? Like, was there several of them, or was there just one in particular back then?
I was in Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where I grew up, and yeah, there was tons of arcades around there. They popped up pretty quick after Space Invaders. There was always like game rooms or places where there were games. Usually in like pizza parlors had them. You know, skating rinks, bowling alleys, things like that. there were game rooms in the malls, but they didn't really explode and get that kind of like attention from people until Space Invaders.
Nice.
I don't know if that's like the norm everywhere, but that seems to be the common theme, the story that people from the 70s, remember.
Right.
Was it different for you?
Well, I mean, Star Castle? No, I'm just kidding. I don't really. I'm just joking. No, for me, it was, I think it was more of a Pac-Man thing. I was born in '69, so I think I edged into a little bit more into the well, also the problem was my parents live here in the sticks. I live in the house that I grew up in. I bought it for my parents.
That's cool, though. Yeah.
And so the corner store that I used to go to is like 2 blocks away. I sometimes go over there and look where they have these stupid ice cream coolers where all the arcade games used to be, and go, "Hey, let's put some arcade games in here." And the guy's like, "No, I don't think so."
Well, then you don't remember Space Invaders coming to town? Maybe you didn't go.
The sinister droning sound, and it was hard. I felt like that was a quarter that I had trouble putting in because I knew I would die, and it was.
It's that funny. Yeah, I remember it being difficult too because we didn't know what to think. I don't know what it is. Our brains hadn't like evolved to take it yet. It seemed intense at the time. Now I look at it and I go, I can't believe we thought this was cool. But if I see Pong, we used to be captivated by that. And you see it now and you go, oh my God, it's so rudimentary and so boring, so primitive. But it blew our minds then.
Right, and I think that the introduction of the AI into a game is what really sort of made, like, those are the games that for some reason kids even today are drawn to them. Because like Pac-Man, for instance, they all have little AIs. It's like you're playing against, some drones in a way, and they're trying to get you and all that stuff. And the same way in Space Invaders, there's the ship that flies across the top, and they're coming down for you. And so once that sort of personality got added to the games, I think that's what eventually has made them sort of have some longevity versus like stuff like the EM games. Those are the dumbest games possible. It's mostly aiming type stuff. And so it's, without that sort of interaction that is, putting you on a one-on-one level with what you think is like a thinking robot, that's why I think EM games just can't hold a light to when arcade games started to getting smart, like Cyberdyne.
Yeah, totally Cyberdyne. Yeah, that was great what you said, and I think you really summed that up. That was great.
So what was after Space Invaders? Was it Asteroids?
What was after Space Invaders?
Asteroids. That was the next big one that I remember. That was huge. It was bigger than Space Invaders. I see a lot of historians, researchers, whatever you want to call them, not know that. And I'm like, how can you not know that? Asteroids was huge. That was the one that pushed competitive gaming, completely onto the map. The guys would play that game for like marathon like sessions for like 3 and 4 days. It's crazy. There'd be teams of them going for like a week, like switching off, trying to keep it going. It was huge. It's strange that kind of like history's been lost, but hopefully people will care about it more and actually look at it, and kind of like, I don't know, get into it. I don't know how to put it into words. There's so much lost from that time that I think people need to remember because it's important, because it's how we got where we are today, I think.
Yeah. Well, a different social climate for video games, for sure.
Well, people still marathon. There are people who marathon Call of Duty, if you can even imagine that. I mean, there's people who have died marathoning it, which is strange. Wow. They seem to have lost the skill for staying up for 4 days without dying.
Well, and, you mentioned the marathoning of Asteroids, and I'm not sure, but this kind of leads into my next question. One of the first articles I ever read on your site was the 5 California arcades in the 80s looking through the lens of Ira Nowinski. I think there's a picture of these guys.
Pardon me?
I think there's a picture of some guys that were marathoning an Asteroids machine, or at least a machine. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, it happened everywhere. If there was an Asteroids machine, it didn't matter if it was at a 7-Eleven or a bowling alley. Somebody was marathoning it in 1981.
Yeah,
they were marathoning the hell out. That's the height of it. Was 1981 when they were really marathoning that thing.
And we've cited
That's how the Polybius. Oh, go ahead. That's how that's how the Polybius legend started. The guy marathoning asteroids, had a problem, and that's how the whole thing started with the killer arcade game.
I thought it was Tempest.
Up until that point, no one had stayed up for 2 days in a row ever.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't think so. I think Dennis Hernandez in New York City. I think he was the first one. I think I'm not sure. I know he was up there in the top 5 of guys that had played it the longest.
That's awesome.
So we've cited your work here on Arcade Radio before. In particular, lately, in one of the episodes, we read the Timeout archaeological find, which was kind of cool. So they broke up on a wall in a mall and found a perfectly preserved Timeout arcade, or at least a segment of it. And
it was a segment of it, yeah.
And
he was that.
No, go ahead. I want to hear.
Yeah, the sad thing about that is the contractors tore it up. I'm like, oh my God, you find Timeout made the most beautiful arcades. I never saw one personally. I've only seen photos, but people who have told me they went into them describe this ambiance that's completely enveloped you, where you really felt like you were entering into something that kind of had no end. That's what people have told me. And so when I saw the pictures that this guy sent me, I was just blown away, because there were complete those things that hung out from the wall. I don't know what you call them, but they're brightly colored and they're like partitions. Those were still intact. And the contractors that came in tore them off the wall and just kind of threw them in a dumpster. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have drove and got those. I know that sounds crazy, but I would have tried to take all of that out and bring it home and set up a timeout in my garage or something. Why not? Yeah, it was neat. It's neat to see that something like that lasted. That tells me that there's more. It's got to be. Can't be just the one.
Wasn't there a space station themed arcade chain? There was
there's Spaceport and Timeout, and there was a bunch of them that had really cool themes, all owned by the same company, I think.
Oh, that's really cool. So how long have you been unearthing arcade history as an online journalist?
Oh, geez. I really started looking into it probably around 2012, 2013, when I realized nobody was. I would read, no offense to Kotaku and IGN or Polygon or any of those, but I'd look at their history and go, well, this isn't really right. It can't be. And the reason why I said that is because I was there. I noticed that these 20-somethings, no offense to them, would be writing these articles based on hearsay or I don't know, something I saw on a TV show, and I was like, wow, that's really not the 80s, and that is not what happened. And so I just kind of started looking into it, and it started piecemeal at first, and then over a period of time, it started becoming more and more habit until it became a kind of a passion and a fascination that I just really can't shut off. I think about it all every day. Sounds crazy, but I think about it every day because there's so much to fill in, and I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
It's the same with you guys and the restoration that you're doing on arcade games. I mean, it's a process of kind of understanding the game you're looking at when you're working on it. Don't you find that, that's what happens in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. I think every game you dig into, and you're probably in the same boat, when you start to get into this, it's not just finding the coins in the bottom of the machine, Now the manual, get the manual. I got to have the manual. And then you start figuring out when it was released. And some of them I just know because I was also there, So I know that Star Wars was released in 1983. I know, Pulp's, I know Monaco GP 1979. So some of those games you're just you inherently at the back of your mind know when they were released. But there's more to it than that. And that's why those photos by, Ira Nowinski are just unbelievable,
oh my God, he recorded something that nobody else did. Nobody else in the entire continental United States captured that beginning of the video craze the way he did. And he didn't even know at the time what he was capturing. He just was fascinated by probably you can tell by his photos, even though they're black and white, that he was fascinated by the movements and the preoccupation of the subject matter and the lights.
Absolutely.
It had to be brightly colored, the kind of diffused lighting. I think he photographed it because what he was looking at he thought was kind of beautiful.
I loved
I think still, oh God, I love him too. When I saw him, it sounds so corny. I almost started crying. It just really moved me because I thought that they were just so perfect.
I love the photo. There's a photo of a bunch of teenagers standing around a Pac-Man. You can barely see the Pac-Man machine. It's just there's just a little bit of paint that's exposed, and then legs everywhere. And it's
everywhere.
It's just fantastic.
And the cool thing about it is fantastic because we don't stand like that anymore. When you see young people together, you don't see them doing that. There's a distance between them.
Right.
We lost that closeness because we don't live in a world where we have things that bring us together.
Right.
We
talked about it on the show before too. It's the primary reason I think many of us long for that time, and we wanted to recreate it in some ways in our own homes and whatever, and to actually reopen arcades, and barcades are flourishing and all that, is because we want to recreate that social experience,
that closeness. And it is about that. Even though people might not say it or know it, that's exactly what they're trying to recreate. And I think some do, and I think some don't, and I hope more definitely do, because just in the scene in particular, I think we need a little bit more closeness so the wars kind of stop. It seems like everybody's always fighting in this community. And,
and speaking of that slice of history that he recorded, your Tynemouth, or I'm sure it's Tynemouth Plaza arcade story is a favorite of mine. And I had some trouble taking my eyes off some of the other content in your blog too, because Atari with porno and all that sort of thing.
Oh, I jump around. I mean, there's nothing off limits to me. I'll cover sex, I'll cover controversy, I'll cover weird kitschy stuff. Yeah, just anything that catches my eye.
And so do you have a particular subject you enjoy writing about, or is it just arcades in general?
I like cold case stories about arcade history, kind of the dark underground of it. There's a lot of stuff that I already have written that I haven't released because I'm not sure how people will take to it. I got a lot of heat about the Atari sex stuff. I have former Atari people writing me some kind of unpleasant commentary about the recent one with the porno. Yeah, even though it happened, there's people who don't want me to talk about it.
It's weird.
I figured, well, you made it, you did it, it's part of history. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not.
I find
Puritan, so
it's that damn slut shaming. What the hell? Let them do whatever they do.
Pretty much what I think people want to paint arcade history or just gaming history as this puritanical realm of family-oriented this, and it was anything but that. I mean, Atari had hot tubs with hot chicks in it. They were smoking dope. The arcades were full of all kinds of miscreants and crazy stuff. I mean, Atari used to put out 2,600 porn games, through Caballero, Control Company. That's what they were called. Mm-hmm. I mean, they didn't put them out, but they were doing it, and they weren't stopping them from doing it. It's I think the history is better when you tell the truth about it, Well, dark and light. It's you paint a better picture when you tell a whole story, I think.
Well, in your Finterview on the Polybius thing, that's a fake interview, so Finterview. So in your Finterview, you mentioned there was two kinds of arcades. There was the family arcade, right? And then there was the other kind of arcade. You mentioned there was. Yeah. So go ahead.
I mentioned that there was what?
There was a family arcade, and then there was the other arcade, the real arcade that that wasn't what you found in the mall.
Oh yeah. Well, most arcades started out as street locations, and those are the ones that are kind of ma and pa. A lot of them were owned by women. As the video craze took over and everybody wanted to jump in on all the money that arcades were making before the ordinances and all the taxes kind of killed it off, you had all kinds of people opening arcades that probably shouldn't. Like the street arcade ones, you got a lot of creepy guys and stuff like that. And then you had the arcades that were kind of family established, had rolling rinks and roller rinks and bowling alleys and things like that, where there was kind of more of a retail atmosphere to them. Then you had the mall arcades that were really clean and monitored and a lot of kids there. So yeah, there was 3 different types of arcades at least, and that had different feels and different, I don't know, hours of operation and totally different games. You wouldn't see a Donkey Kong in a real kind of crazy wild street location because it wouldn't make money because kids wouldn't be playing it. You saw Stargate and Missile Command and most of the shooters, Defender, things like that. There's a definite difference.
Well, here in town we have an arcade called SS Billiards. It's in Hopkins, Minnesota. Lloyd Olson is the owner. His mother, Mabel DeMar, opened the arcade in 1972. And last year we had a guy by the name of, he's a friend of mine, but his name is Joe Lease, and he was sort of not really an operator, but he was sort of electronic support for Piccadilly Circus and a bunch of other arcades here in town. So, but he used to, they used to service Mabel DeMar's SS Billiards establishment, which had like about 6 pool tables, and then it was filled with pinball machines and a small row of arcade games, including Pong. And she used to bring in occasionally arcade games, and she tells an awesome story about both Asteroids and Atari Football, of all things, which was a huge hit in her arcade. But it sort of tells you that period, right? The late 70s, when the video fad was building, you know. So, but that SS Billiards still exists today, and her son Lloyd Olson still runs it, and he's LTG Lloyd, Ask Lloyd on Pinside today. So if you go to Pinside and it says Ask Lloyd, that's who you're talking to. Is a local Minnesotan, and it's just it's fun to go in there because the carpet hasn't changed. There's still wood paneling, and there's still drop ceiling, and weird. And he's got a row of really awesome pinball machines, and he has pinball tournaments every year. But that might have been considered one of those more seedy arcades, except for the fact that it was actually well lit, and he's been able to maintain it as almost a family business and a family establishment for people to come of all ages. So kind of an unusual arcade in our area. Conversely, there was one called Beanie's Arcade in Bloomington that has sort of a seedy,
And it was dark, right?
Dark.
And all the weird old dudes hanging out, looking at all the young boys and girls.
You could smoke in there. Everybody smoked.
Uncle Pervy hanging. Yeah, everybody's smoking. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then drug deals going on in the back. Some of the games.
Totally. There was a lot like that. I mean, there was a lot of arcades closed down between 1981 and 1983 because of that. Yeah. Because of truancy and drugs and what have you. It's so funny to me when you look on TV and you see how modern day TV portrays like the arcade scene. If it's like a movie that has an 80s theme, they always make it look like it's on some set in Disneyland. That's just not the reality at all. Never looked like that. Not that I recall ever. In a mall, but not in a real arcade.
Mm-hmm. Mark,
I think I got. I got ripped off because I'm here in conservative Texas, and I didn't. There was no fun stuff like that.
What are you doing over there?
What?
Pay attention. We're doing a radio show right now. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Are you over there playing?
What?
What are you doing?
I was just interjecting, and so I could segue into my next question. I'm not that drunk. Hey.
Okay, now I'm going to give you a task. You ask her this question, and I'm going to.
No.
And I'm going to run to the fridge and get a beer and come back. And
I see.
I expect you two to still be talking when I get back.
Yeah, sure I will. Okay. So Adam can go get a drink. The question is, where and how do you come across photos and sources for articles? Is it just, do you network or do you do searching? Yeah, I mean, do people put this stuff up online and you just happen to run across them, or how does that work exactly?
A lot of my images, I'm like the Atari ones for the girl. I make my own images. I'm an awesome layout person. I got to say that.
So you have a background in that kind of design?
I taught myself. Yeah, I taught myself. I knew it was a skill that I kind of needed because I looked at everybody else's articles and I saw them all using the same photos, and I went, I don't want to do that. I want to be more creative. I'm a creative person anyway. I'm a musician. I paint. I write. I can construct. I just kind of have a creative mind. So I go looking for them too. I find them anywhere that I can. If I have to use one, that other people have seen, then it happens sometimes.
Right.
But for the most part, no, I go looking for them. I actually won't write an article if I can't find proper images or have proper images. Kind of anal about that.
Do you try to do the article first and then the image, or the other way around?
Oh, no, it happens either way. Like, I just found an awesome photo of some guys playing Asteroids in a 7-Eleven that nobody's ever seen, and that kind of like made me want to write a story around the photo. Other times I'll have a concept for something that I want to write, and I'll write that and hope I can find the photos. And if not, I'll like make my own art for it, or like kind of create my own thing. But normally, yeah, it's usually an image that inspires me, some kind of visual, more than kind of really visual about things.
Can you give us like a sneak peek of something that you may be working on now?
Other than the asteroids thing, yeah, right. I've been thinking about doing this kind of like dark-sided, like kind of the arcade underground, telling some of the crazier, more bizarre stories that have happened in the arcade scene, from the beginning to probably now. I've been kind of thinking about writing some of the darker tales, the crime tales.
We had an Aladdin's Castle traveling manager on the show who had
oh my god,
there was a prostitution ring happening in one of the Aladdin castles that he.
Yeah, I was going to write about that. I actually know about that. I know about the mass murder that happened in one too. I was kind of like tripped. You didn't know about that? Yeah, there's a lot. Aladdin's Castle has some pretty creepy history behind it that nobody's ever told. It shows up in newspaper articles all the time, and I understand why some people don't want to tell them because they're not pleasant stories. But it is part of arcade history. It's part of kind of what forced arcades out and forced the ordinances. So it is an important part.
Completely. There was actually an Aladdin's Castle in Houston, Texas, I think, that had a shooting, and it closed it. That's what caused it to close down.
It was nice. That's the one you're talking about. Yeah, they used the knife. And killed every employee inside it. Yeah. For $500.
Sounds awful.
I mean, it's like, God. Yeah, there was some crazy stuff happening in the 80s with arcades. It's kind of what helped force them out, too. They just weren't properly managed, and I don't know.
I would tell you that.
It's more to the story than that. It depends on the state. But,
yeah, and my Aladdin's Castle was really benign. It was in Burnsville Center, and then Chuck E. Cheese was just down the road, and those were my spots. Showbiz was about
Chucky.
Yeah. Showbiz was about the scariest place, to
Burnsville,
go.
The slice of Americana for sure, but Houston a little bit more ghetto.
Actually, our Chuck E. Cheese had a teenage nightclub attached to it called Widgets.
Oh, like all ages, like disco?
Exactly. It was very short-lived because nobody had money. The teenagers did not have money to buy enough, pop or soda, and to to keep the place going. So they basically had like this weird, nightclub for teenagers that just I can't imagine that was
at Astroworld, Six Flags Astroworld, where I live. So since you were already in the park, there was the arcade and then the little club. But
I have, I'd actually a long time ago looked for. The trouble is nobody was taking pictures when they were at the arcade. There's very few photos.
You couldn't. There were 110 Instamatic. What are you going to do? Use a flash? It's going to look stupid. I know when people go, how come there's no pictures of this guy playing this arcade back in the day? Because you really couldn't. You couldn't.
It wasn't like Selfie City like it is today.
Yeah. It was like $30 equivalent now to,
Oh, totally.
To develop it. Yeah, and then you didn't know if you were even getting a clear picture back then because it didn't have, like a digital camera now where you can see your picture beforehand.
I love that.
Pray and shoot.
I just love that because even in Iris photos, you get these shots of people and he was probably hitting the shutter more with his film because he's a professional. But I love the photos where you have somebody looking up to the left, not paying attention at all. Or, these bright eye shine pictures and just terrible photographs.
Still, like, if you had only 24 chances to take a photo and
36 sometimes. You could do the 36 later on.
Yeah, you could do that. I did that in college when I was a photographer. I was actually a chief photographer in college, so
24.
But
24 pictures, $30 in developing,
right.
And you get one photo that works. The struggle was real back then. It was.
Oh my gosh!
It's funny because Adam and I were just talking. We both got this that they had an instant camera that you could put floppies in like 2000 or something.
Yeah.
And we both owned that as soon as I could have like an unlimited amount of images that I could digitally photograph. Like I was walking around with floppy disks in my pocket all day long.
It was
No, wait a minute. There is a camera you can put a floppy disk in? I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a Mavica.
Are you serious?
Mavica.
How long did that last? Like a month?
No, it's terrible. It's the Mavica FD73. It was a 0.3 megapixel camera because it couldn't do even a full megapixel. And they came and you put floppy disks in it. It was awesome. So you could, like back when it was probably 2000 when that thing came out, you could buy floppy disks everywhere still. So you go to Walmart.
Yeah, I remember that. You mean like the standard size floppy disk?
3.5 inch. Yep.
I had no idea.
Oh, that wasn't the first disc camera though. The first disc camera was made by Kodak and it was called the disc camera. Remember DISC?
It had the little round. Those were little round discs that went in it, right?
Yeah.
I remember those. That looked like a ViewMaster kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It was like
I remember those.
It was like it was almost like 110 film, but it was like a cross between.
But it was so small and it was grainy. I mean,
yeah, it was. I had one. I loved that thing, but terrible pictures.
Wow.
But not digital.
Yeah, they didn't take good pictures. No, the true digital cameras, they really have been a lifesaver to anybody who likes to take pictures.
Wow.
I think.
Yeah.
I think they opened up photography to people who normally wouldn't have even explored the medium.
Oh yeah, my ex-wife was
I still
all
like
over
film
that.
though.
Mm-hmm.
I like film and I really love old photos. So I love old Polaroids if you can find them.
Me too.
They're neat.
Guess what?
The color is rich, and that whole thing about them falling apart and fading after 20-something years, I still have ones taken of me in the 70s that are just as clear as the day they were taken.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that comes from, where people say that they fade.
I actually have in my office here a pack of unused Polaroid film.
Is it from that?
Oh, dude,
from that
no
party
way. From the What?
Yep, I'm waiting to use it. Next arcade party, it's getting put into the camera.
You mean SX70 film? Is that what you said?
It's Polaroid film.
Yeah, the SX70, right?
I don't know. You put it in and it takes pictures.
Hold on, I'm googling SX70 because we're.
You mean from a land camera? From a land camera where it shoots the film? Really the self-developing stuff?
It's color 600 film. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's SX70. I think that's killer. How did you get what?
Well,
I didn't think they made that stuff anymore.
They
do
don't. You have to pay a bunch of money on eBay to get it.
Oh, I figured. Yeah.
You can get anything on eBay.
Good for you.
When we used it 2 or 3 years ago, and it took forever. Like it came out of the camera, and it took like 15 minutes for it to develop because it was so old.
And it was terrible.
Oh, but it smells cool. Did you smell it? It smells that smell like take you back to the 70s. I know.
Oh yeah. It's like what is there rubbing alcohol on this film? It's real weird. What's
it's
inside
formaldehyde. That smell. I think you're smelling formaldehyde. It has formaldehyde in it. Yeah.
Oh, that explains.
Don't
it.
lick it.
Don't lick it. Oh my God.
Those weren't those.
God, everything was unhealthy back then that we played with that was normal. Gives you cancer.
No, I know. Everything.
Polaroid film. Everything.
so Mark asked where did you come across your photos and sources and such things like that. I think we had one question from the audience. Did that get asked?
Yeah, Dave from Buffalo asked, what are your 3 most recent arcade game acquisitions?
Well, you know what? It's been a while since there's been a new one. Probably, I'd have to say, it was Magical Spot from Universal.
Oh, wow.
Punch Out.
Okay.
And God, that's probably the most recent.
Sweet.
What's your most memorable arcade game acquisition? Like, did you go in a house with like a creepy person or?
Everyone's been a creepy person. Are you kidding? Are you serious? Oh yeah, they're really clean cut people in the arcade world. Or you meet some real characters. I mean, not that they're bad, but it's like.
Did you meet anybody
Twilight
that was?
You can walk into the Twilight Zone just every day. When you're out looking.
Did you meet anybody that
I think the creepiest,
ran a meth lab?
The creepiest one was probably this old church that had a game in it. And a guy who left the games there had hung himself there.
Oh.
Not that he was there when I was there, but I'm just saying he had committed suicide, and the only reason why we got his games, people were getting his games, was because of that. And so it was kind of weird to kind of walk in there and know that that's why you were getting them. Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of creepy.
Creepy.
Yeah, it makes you kind of not want them.
That is not good. That's bad.
No.
That's bad.
I've seen other things. I've seen games that have rats' nests inside them that are just phenomenal.
It's always Donkey
I'm
Kongs
sure you've
for me.
seen that.
Yeah, I got 3 Donkey Kong cabinets. Well, I mean, like a Versus and a Donkey Kong 3 and a Donkey Kong. And literally in all 3 in the exact same place up in the marquee, there was a beautiful rat's nest that had been produced.
It's always in the top by the marquee
time.
too. It's never down. Yeah, it's never down below. They do it up in the top.
That's where I would do it.
It's always there.
It's like maybe they can see through that somehow, or like what is it? Like is that where the best place is?
I don't know. Probably.
It must be. There's something ideal about it too, because they don't do it down below.
Why do we build? Why do we build tree houses?
I don't know.
Why do we build tree houses? You know.
Why don't you do a study where they put 10 Nintendo machines in a room and 15 mice and see what they do?
I'm serious. Or maybe you should ask someone who sees it a lot of times. I don't know if you guys know John XD.
Oh,
Jamshid. You should get him on here to talk about some of his crazy stories about the stuff that he's found in arcade games, or some of the observations that he's made, because he sees a lot of it, because he sees it every day. Different stuff. He'd be a really good person on here.
All right. So Dave from Buffalo has another question. He says, "Are you married?" No, I'm just kidding. He's already married. So he says, Cat has a great collection, which we have not asked you about yet. So before we ask that,
yeah, it's a lot. You lose count after a while. It's around, I think, 86 or 87. It's got to be somewhere around there. After a while, when you store them, like there's a ton in the garage, like a 2 bay garage. It's pretty big, and they're just lined up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like after a while, you just really can't count them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they weren't like that. But I think there's 42 or 32 or something like that in the house, which is cool.
Yeah. Are you near them?
Some people
Are you near them right now?
Yeah, they're all over. Yeah.
Are you?
They're like arranged. I mean, where you can see. I mean, they're like thrown everywhere. They're like artfully displayed. I think most people do that. A lot of people are lucky that they have outdoor hangars that they've built that. They have the land to do that, and I'm really envious of that. The people that have these whole areas that they can walk in and take you into this hangar where they're all all their little private bays and whatever. That's cool. But I think your average collector just kind of displays what they can in their house, and then they have a stash.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the best way to kind of keep them, because you're really preserving them when you do that, rather than constantly moving them and knocking them around and.
Okay, we're dying to know.
That.
Of the 40 that are in there right now, just name as many as you can off the top of your head right now.
Oh, geez. Defender, Punch-Out, Dig Dug, Centipede, Gapless, Galaxian, Galaga, Pac-Man, oh, God, Sinistar, Tempest, Tron, Star Castle. You're going to make me just go through all the big ones.
Just keep going. Keep going. We just want to know.
Oh my God! And keep going. God, Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts. What's that one? God, I'd have to go through all the line. I'm gonna have to get up and walk through the house. That's crazy. You guys are crazy.
Well, that's okay. So you don't have to do that, but it gives us an idea of what you got going on there. So a lot of classic titles. That's awesome. And Andy Baldwin asks, are they in alphabetical order?
No.
No, but there is a guy that has done that.
Oh, really?
Some guy in Texas has done that. He has like I said, a hangar. Someone told me about him, and that he's got them all alphabetized. And he's got something like 400 of them. That's
amazing. All right, so we have one more question from the chat, and I think we'll wrap up the show for tonight. This will be a good one to end on, I think. Cat has a great collection, but with money as no object, what do you want? What game would you really want?
There's a lot. I'd like to have I like Universal. I know people don't like to play them. I like the way they look, and I love the artwork on them. Every one of those. What's that one that was a Sundance? They said there was only a few made. Mm-hmm. Has the most spectacular art on it, even though it's kind of rudimentary. It's still very cool with the little flames on the front. You know which game I'm talking about?
Is that
There's like only one found, and it was found in some like mining town or something.
was Tony and Temple involved?
No, but he's written about it. I was going to write about it, but then I knew that he was.
Sundance.
Yeah, that's a great story about that. And all these people started fighting over it, and it's crazy.
That's a beautiful.
But yeah, it's very rare.
Beautiful cabinet.
I would love to have one of those. It's a lovely, lovely game. I want a Gravatar. I know people say they're not rare. You don't see them anywhere. I love the artwork on that one.
Sure.
Even though it's conversion, I like Black Widow. I love the artwork on that one.
Yeah.
Don't see them. You don't see them. Not with the original conversion art. You see a lot of them that have brand new art. The colors are wrong.
Sure. Oh.
I've never seen one with the correct colors.
I love that you want the original game untouched. Like,
oh yeah.
You know, it's like you want to connect to that aesthetic. And some of us have taken or have made great, have no words for describing how they wanted to, restore a game. But some of us have gone to great lengths to bring these games back to their out-of-box glory, right? I have a mixed bag in my house, so like my Tempest is really untouched. I got it.
So it's fine.
The corner was broken off. Somebody glued it back on, but otherwise it's in really great shape. It's complete. It looks gorgeous. I've repaired the monitor and all that sort of thing, but the artwork is original. The marquee is original. Everything's original. And that's really fun to have that game, Some games have been damaged where they need to be brought back, in my opinion,
Water damage, yeah, if you can fix it. You see a lot of them now with water damage because a lot of newer people get them. Mm-hmm. And I think they're not in it for the long haul, and I think they don't store them right or they don't realize just what can go wrong when water gets on them if you don't get it off.
Right.
But, yeah. Turning that around is almost impossible sometimes if you get a lot of swelling. So there are people who do turn it around. I don't know how they do it or what their filler they're using, but they're doing something. I just don't have any like that. I wouldn't want any like that, but there are people who will buy them because they're a good price.
Okay. Dave says, one other question.
Gosh, Dave.
He's busy tonight. He's busy.
I know. So this is awesome.
What is the most you've spent on a game? No cost needed, but what was the game?
Geez, most?
Yeah. What game did you spend the most money on in your collection?
It was probably Robotron.
Really? Like a upright 2084, all good?
Yeah. It's hard to find them in really good shape.
I agree.
It was either that or it was Sinistar.
Yeah, it's funny because
Sinistar's immaculate.
About 10 years ago,
Immaculate.
I bought a Robotron cocktail, and I still have it. I mentioned it on the show.
I've never seen one in a cocktail.
It's pretty cool.
I know that they're out there. I think there's just about every title in a cocktail. You just don't see them. But yeah I've never seen that.
I paid $700 for that thing. So, but I think
really in the Pacific Northwest a few years ago, it was you can get any game for $300. The most you'd ever pay is like $800. Because there were so many here because it's the West Coast. Yeah. Pacific.
Yep, Robotron was hard. Robotron was hard to find, period, here. And then to have a cocktail pop up, with new old stock, because it had been converted to some military game. So I can't remember what it was, but the guy Andre, he's local. He converted it back and put a new old stock CPOs on it, which are Plexi. They're really cool. And he brought it back to its original glory. So, all new wiring harness.
Oh, wow.
Original boards.
Oh, that's cool. I bet it's beautiful looking. You just don't see, there's not a lot of games out there. I don't know if you look through Craigslist once in a while or anything like that. There's no games coming up. It's like someone's either hoarding them or it's the barcades, all the new barcades opening up and buying everything up, and the prices are sky high.
They are right now.
Like on oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad to see that, and the reason why I'm glad to see that is, again, here's the purist talking. That means that many more noobs who don't know what they're doing aren't going to buy them and screw them up.
Right.
Make a multicade out of them. No offense to you multicade people out there, but come on, man, learn to build a cabinet.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
It kills me. But the higher the price goes, I think the I don't know, people care about it more, and you have to pay, for something. Don't you think?
Yeah, I totally
agree. You have
agree.
to pay a lot for something, you're going to take care of it, right?
Well, the chatters agree. You've been a great guest, and I want to say thank you for being on the show. It's been an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me here. We were on here a long time.
Yeah,
well,
that's
boring.
It's kind of fun, It's just we have a conversation. We make we have our game in the middle of it. We have some arcade news that was fun today. So and I think we kept it real. And you know what? I think people need to check out your site more. So give us your digits again for the website. It's just RetroBitch. Look it up on Google.
At WordPress. Yep, that's where I'm at. I probably should change that to make it a little bit more accessible. People don't seem to have trouble finding me. So
no, I
never bothered.
Seriously, if you have not been there, it's worth the read. I say it's an easy read, but that's because you make it easy to read. I think there's a lot of journalists out there who write. There's a lot of people that want to express things, maybe not as articulately. It's one of the reasons why we had Tony Temple on the show. It's one of the reasons why we had you on the show. And we want to continue to do that. So hopefully we'll be able to have you on again, in the near future. So that'd be fab.
I would love to.
And
I would love to come back.
But, this is what we do. Little arcade radio action here. That's the double R's, RcadeRadio.com. And you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on iTunes. But apparently I need to update the feed for that. Right, Mark? And
I'd help you if I could. I would do it.
Let's talk. I'll give you the login. And then we have SoundCloud, which is really what you need to log into. And then we're on Google Play. So we're kind of on all the things, but join us anytime. You can email us. You can text us. 612-548-GAME game. And we look forward to seeing you on the next show. Hopefully Whitney Roberts will join us to talk a little bit about Sky Skipper. So that'll be rad. And until then, this has been Arcade Radio. We're signing off.
Gnarly, dude.
It was a good time. I'm gonna dance. Who wrote this song? He's a genius. Sounds like it was made with apple loops.
Pardon me.
You still have your pants on?
I do. I'm eyeing my sweats, though. They're so close.
You guys are actually taking your pants off?
Well, no. I mean,
I would put it past you.
This is the part of the show where Mark takes his pants off.
I mean, just the pants. I'm still wearing something underneath. Come on.
That's true. Isn't it snowing in Minnesota?
It is not. It's not. It's just cold as hell. Or cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice your love?
Oh, man.
The song West.
There it is.
I guess that was